We have all been covering it for nearly 2 decades, but something important happened before the game. As you know, the collective bargaining agreement is under discussion right now between the league and their players. And before the game, the players came out without their warm-ups on, with shirts that said, "Pay us what you owe us." Fans slammed WNBA stars for protesting their pay after the league posted a $40 million loss last year. Let us talk about it. So, I know this topic makes people mad, but we are going to be talking about the WNBA and why the players, even though they want more money, have to understand they are not making any money. CNBC Sports did this total breakdown on why the WNBA is not profitable. As an example, the WNBA has never generated a profit. They have always lost money. The average before last year was about $10 to $20 million a year, and last year alone, they lost $40 million. So, let me try to put this in perspective. The WNBA's revenue for 2024 was about $200 million, but their operating expenses, what they needed to survive, came out to about $240 million. That gave them a net loss of $40 million. In 2024, the WNBA is estimated to bring in $200 million in revenue. Just for comparison, the NBA is expected to earn $13 billion. The WNBA has historically lost around $10 million per season. Some estimates have said that the league is going to lose about $50 million. Now, if we contrast that with the NBA had about $13 billion in revenue. Their expenses were about $3 billion. So after it all winded down, they had a profit of about $10 billion. Now, out of that $10 billion of profit, the NBA and the NBA players split that money evenly. So, the NBA players get $5 billion, and the NBA owners get $5 billion. But now, we cannot do this same calculation for the WNBA, because after all of their operating expenses, they actually have lost $40 million. And in that type of scenario, if we pay the players like another $20 million, that now just adds more losses on the other side of the ledger. Now, instead of $40 million in losses, we have $60 million in losses. The players have gotten paid more money, but where is that extra $20 million going to come from? And just understanding overall, the WNBA has likely lost over $500 million since it started. Now, that is what it took to just keep the WNBA alive, and that is why most female leagues fail, because eventually, you just cannot continue to dump money in and not get any returns on that investment. Now, with that understanding, the WNBA players are saying they want to make the same percentage of revenue as the NBA players make. So, let us do that just for fun. The NBA made $13 billion, as we said earlier. $10 billion of that are profit, and the NBA players and owners split that 50%, 50%. NBA players get $5 billion. Owners get $5 billion. Now, let us do that for the WNBA. They made $200 million in revenue. The operating expense was $240 million. That is a negative $40 million in a hole. And if you split that with the owners 50%, 50%, then the players actually owe the owners $20 million. Now, I know what you are going to say. You are going to say, Nate, that is a ridiculous argument. No one is making that argument. Let me prove to you that yes, the WNBA players are absolutely making that argument. What is being lost in all that noise is the actual point. So, let us unpack what the WNBA wage conversation is about. No, they do not want Steph Curry money. Well, they do not want Steph Curry money. But that is just because Steph could pay the salary of every woman in the WNBA and still have enough left over to sign Le'Veon Bell. Anyone can make the argument that a younger, smaller, less popular league cannot pay the same amount as the NBA. What is harder is arguing they cannot pay the same percentage, which is what WNBA players are trying to tell you. They recognize the difference in how much money each league brings in, but they do want a higher percentage of their league's revenue. Remember, NBA players get about 50% of what the league calls basketball-related income. A Forbes report last year estimated that WNBA players only get about 25% of Barry. Well, Rachel, 25% is actually saying it too nice. It is actually closer to around 22%. The big conversation about WNBA salaries and all of that has been going on, what is like from a player and from players in general, like your teammates? What is that opinion and how do you guys handle all those conversations? We are not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We are asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared. Okay? You know what I'm saying. Got it. Got it. So that is a huge misconception. That is a huge misconception for sure. Yeah, because every video is like, oh, this person gets paid this person gets paid that, right? So I want to be really clear about that. Like, I do not think I should get paid the same as LeBron, but the percentage of revenue. So, obviously, now you know why that cannot happen, because the WNBA players would then owe the league $20 million if they use the same model that the NBA players are using. So now, with all that, the WNBA players and the owners are negotiating a collective bargaining agreement. Now, going into these negotiations, the WNBA just signed a $2.2 billion television deal with Disney. And this television deal is going to get them a lot more revenue. The WNBA reportedly securing a new round of media rights deals with NBC, Amazon, and Disney, the parent company of ABC, worth about $2.2 billion over 11 years, about $200 million a year. This new media package, a massive increase, 6 times bigger than its previous deal. Now, we have to stop. I know what you're thinking. You are like, hey, they're going to get extra $200 million a year. That solves the problem. That turns that $200 million in revenue automatically to $400 million in revenue every year. And instead of having a $40 million loss, you will have $160 million in profit. And you can split that between the WNBA players and the owners, 50%, 50%. Everybody gets more money. But we have another problem. See, the WNBA was never profitable, as we spoke about earlier. And there were about $500 million, $500 million invested into the WNBA over the 20 to 30 years it has been active. That money was not charity. The people who invested that money into the failing league at the time want that money back. Matter of fact, even recently, the WNBA sold off more of the WNBA to another outside investment firm for about $75 million, again, to keep the league alive. The NBA and its owners would own the WNBA. It survived because of the great support the NBA has given it over many years. So, there is a reason why the WNBA is the longest tenured women's professional sports league in the country. Think about this. By double any other WNBA team owners received 50% stake in 2002. In 2022, the league raised $75 million from a group of investors, the league's first ever outside investment and the largest in women's sports history. They received 16% stake in return, leaving only 42% left for WNBA and its owners. But this also means only 42% of national-level revenue, like television and sponsorship deals, trickles down to the WNBA owners. The remaining goes to the NBA and its owners, 5 of which are also WNBA owners, and the outside investor group. So now we have this $2.2 billion deal that has to be split amongst essentially 4 different entities. First, you have the WNBA players. They get a percentage. Then you have the WNBA owners. They also get a percentage. Along with that, you have the NBA owners, who also get a percentage of WNBA revenue because they put in between $250 to $300 million to keep the league going this long. And you have the outside investment group, who spent $75 million to get 16% of basketball-related revenue. So these are the people who must get paid by the WNBA if it ever generates any revenue. And this is how the percentages are broken down. The WNBA players and owners take 42% of basketball-related revenue. The NBA, who put in that $250 to $300 million, they get 42% of basketball-related revenue. And those investors who put in $75 million, they get 16% of basketball-related revenue. Now, if you split it out, It turns out that the players for the WNBA can only really get a max of 21% of basketball-related revenue. And remember, that is in contrast to the NBA players, who get 50% of basketball-related revenue. Now, on the plus side, the WNBA just signed a new television rights deal for $2.2 billion over 11 years. So, it comes out to about $200 million a year, worth about $2.2 billion over 11 years. About $200 million a year. Out of that $200 million television deal, the players are going to see about $42 million of that money. The owners get another $42 million. The NBA gets its 80.